this meeting to order at 3:16 p.m. We're going to start with a roll call. So Parliamentarian Adams. Here. Comms Director Bradley. Here. Treasurer Geary. Here. Chief of Staff Grasinger is on her way. President McLaughlin. Here. I am here. Graphic Design Coordinator Pugh. I'm here. Recording Secretary Steiner. I'm here. DEI Chair Williams. Here. PPT Fornatero. Here. Senator Balfe. Here. Senator Cebulski. Here. Senator Dixon is not feeling well and is excused. Senator Mahone, I can't remember the reason, but he's also excused. Senator Reid. Here. Senator Kerry. Here. Senator Pickett. Do we have anything for Senator Pickett?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
They sent me an email just like an hour ago.
Alright, Senator Plisco.
Here.
Senator Ringo.
Here.
Senator Mingus. Here. Senator Sala. Here. Senator Richards is excused. Senator Mendoza is also excused. Senator Palermo. Here. Senator Osteen is also excused for today. Senator Slankinka. Do we have an excuse for Senator? Okay. Alright. With that, we will move to the approval of the minutes. Just make a note that since last week's meeting was canceled, these are the minutes from our meeting on the 28th. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Cebulski. Do we have a second? Great. And with that, our minutes are approved. And we will move to approval of the agenda. Does anybody have anything for the agenda before we do a motion to approve? All right. Motion to approve the agenda. Cebulski. Do we have a second? Great. All right. Awesome. With that, our agenda is approved. We're going to hop right in. We have a guest speaker today. Provost Soto is here to talk to us about credit hours and potential changes to those, so I will give the floor to him now.
Thank you. Hey everybody, how are we doing today?
Good.
Yes?
Pretty
Excellent.
good, pretty good.
This is my first time in this room for official business. And so it's, probably old hat for you guys, but for me it's a novel experience. So thank you for having me here. I wanted to just share with you some ideas that we're contemplating about how we define a credit hour and what might result from that redefinition. And
Sound effects.
Hopefully,
Sound effects go in.
Hopefully that isn't auguring
I was just going to say,
a problem.
shut the door.
Do you want to move up here just so we can get you on
Yeah,
the camera?
glad to.
Thank you.
So, you wouldn't know this, most people don't, but currently, Point Park defines a credit hour as 60 minutes of classroom contact per credit per week. Okay? Makes sense. 60 minutes equals an hour. Sounds like a credit hour. Funny thing is, we are just about the only university in the United States, in the known universe, that does it this way. Most places define a credit hour as 50 minutes of classroom contact per credit per week. And so in most places, class periods are 50 minutes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or 75 minutes Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. Where I used to teach, I taught courses for 50 minutes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or for 75 minutes Tuesday, Thursday, depending on the semester. Now, because of how we define a credit hour, that means that our Monday, Wednesday courses or our Tuesday, Thursday courses have to be 90 minutes per class period, right? And then you have 10 minutes to get down the elevator, hustle across campus, get up the elevator, and hopefully you make it on time, right? And good luck if you have to eat lunch at some point along the way. What we're contemplating doing is redefining a credit hour so that we are in line with just about everywhere else in the United States. And this will give us some additional options for how we set up the weekly class schedule. Now, instead of having 6 class periods per day, Monday through Thursday, 90 minutes each, what we are exploring are options that allow us to have 75-minute class periods, Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. And this would allow us, instead of having 6 per day, we could have 7 class periods per day. And these additional class periods, it would allow us to free up 1 or 2 of those periods for Common Hour. And that would mean that your clubs could meet during that period, and you would know for sure that no one has a class. That would mean that when the university needs to gather as an entire university community, I don't know where you put us all, but we could do that knowing that students and faculty aren't tied up in class. And that is one of my directives per the new university strategic plan, is to identify opportunities for a common hour. And how we would do this is possibly redefining the credit hour, giving us this additional class period per day. And we would be able to reserve for the disciplines that absolutely need it some class periods that are a little bit different, right? Maybe it's 90 minutes, maybe it's 3 hours, depending on the needs. We would have a few of those opportunities where absolutely needed, but most courses would potentially shift to a 75-minute class period, Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. So you had a hand up right there.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering if you were planning on making this common period during like the middle of the day, like lunch hours, or like what was the plan for that? And
My plan was to ask you.
yeah. Well,
When do you think a common hour makes sense?
I worry that if it's during like eating time, then we will experience like overflow in the dining halls and in boost mobile lines.
That is worth jotting down. I'm going to be taking notes because that was one of my questions for you, is when does it make sense? I hadn't thought of the boost backup, but yeah. So lunch is dicey. That's my note to myself.
I
Yes.
thought of something that, because I know in earlier meetings I've been issue in terms of like dancers, especially freshman year, not having times to eat during lunch or during meal times.
So
I
I've heard
think
too. Yeah.
Having a common hour during meal times, while it would cause like issues with like backup, it would help with issues like of students not being able to eat lunch meals like, because of classes.
But it also sounds like, students might be like going into like club meetings and other
Yeah.
like potential meetings during those
So you want
times.
to grab a boost and then go to your meeting, right? And on that whole dancer thing, anyone dancers in here?
I don't think our dancers are here today. Our one
I,
dancer.
when I heard that, when I first started here, not quite 4 years ago, I heard that. And I looked to the then brand new dean of the conservatory, Garfield, and he said, "Hey Garfield, let's fix that, okay?" And if it hasn't been fixed, then I think we need to revisit it as well. I think over here and then this way.
Usually, at least on the topic of food and having time to eat, especially for those of us in the conservatory or that are constantly going on campus, what would be hugely beneficial is being able to order from the cafe twice a day, because only being able to do that once is a little bit of an inconvenience, because that means I either have to eat at the dining hall twice a day, which I don't have time to do, or eat at, do the cafe for lunch and the dining hall for dinner, and the dining hall for dinner I don't have time to do. Because if I went dining hall and then boost, then it's going to say I've already used meal swipe again. And so I understand the practice of wanting to get us to eat at other locations, but having the ability to use multiple swipes a day at the cafe would be greatly beneficial for those students that are constantly on the go.
I will make sure and relay that message to your dean of students.
In all fairness, Dean Palo is looking into that. It has been something that has been discussed this semester. And so as they're looking through the future, that is definitely on the table for consideration as do we allow more than one meal swipe a day? So that is definitely on consideration right now, without a doubt.
I know that this kind of maybe goes against, it definitely goes against the point of like if we were to have to like meet as a full university all at the same time, but is there potential that this could work out better if we were to split this in between like the credit hours, or like the common hours by school? So maybe like certain schools have a certain time period and another school has another time period, and maybe that could help like with the influx of like a bunch of people trying to get food at a certain time.
And then maybe there's one common one for everyone, so it's like 1 hour.
Boy, so our university registrar, do you all know Scott Spencer? Yeah, neat guy. Kind of long white beard. He actually got rid of the beard. I saw him on Zoom just a few minutes ago with that beard. Like, what'd you do to Scott? But anyway, he just had eye surgery and he's working from home while he recovers. But he would probably be having a heart attack. Have you heard that? But I'm going to write that down because it's worth looking into, right? And if we can figure that out, then I can see some merit to that idea. You had a hand up right there. No? Okay. Right there.
In preparation for this meeting, something that was brought up by our chief of staff, who's not here right now, but I definitely wanted to make sure to ask for. And I think you might have kind of answered the question, because you said 50 minutes is pretty standard for universities. There was questions on if this would have any impact on grad school applications or those who are like transferring credits in.
No, your credit would still be a credit,
Okay.
right? The Pennsylvania Department of Education only requires 50 minutes of contact per week per credit hour. And middle states are regional accreditor, same thing. And so every other university in Pennsylvania that I'm aware of, and every other university that is accredited by middle states has a 50-minute credit hour, right? So in Pittsburgh, all of them, Pitt, CMU, Carlo, Robert, 50 minutes, right? Back there, and then.
Just to like clarify for myself, I guess, this wouldn't affect the amount of credit hours that we need to obtain our degree.
Zero effect.
Like it'll still be say mine's 122, it would still remain like 122 credit hours total.
Yeah, what class did you have just before here?
I don't have class today.
What class did you have most recently?
And I think it was podcasting last Friday.
Okay, is that a one unit class or 3?
It's a 3 credit class.
Okay,
It's
so you met for probably 180 minutes last week.
Oh, it's on one day.
So you met for 3 hours
Yeah.
on one day. That class could either continue to meet for 3 hours, or it could meet for 2.5 hours, and it would still receive the same 3 credits,
Okay.
and it wouldn't affect the number of hours you need to graduate, or none of that.
Okay.
It's really a bureaucratic distinction,
Okay.
the 60 versus 50, that would simply, but because we imposed it on ourselves, we did it to ourselves, 60 minutes of contact, we cannot do what they do at Pitt, CMU, Carlo, Robert Morris, etc., which is have slightly shorter but more class periods in a day.
All right, thank you.
I guess I just wanted to know, were there any concerns that came up when you guys were discussing about changing this, and then what are those concerns?
Yeah, so the concerns are mainly coming from the performing arts disciplines and the laboratory sciences, right? Where They have grown accustomed to teaching over 90 minutes twice a week. And they're wondering if they can offer the same quality of instruction in less time. And if so, right, like I said, not everyone would have a 75-minute class period. There would be some classes that meet for longer than that, perhaps 90 minutes. And we're not going to propose anything when we finally come up with a concrete proposal that that detracts from the quality of instruction. And so I just came from a meeting with the theater department, right? And they were very clear that we may need something a little bit different than what most of the class schedules look like. Yes.
Are they able to operate in a different way than other colleges within the university, and does everything have to be
So
standard?
it wouldn't be per school, so the conservatory wouldn't necessarily be carved out differently than the rest of you. But the classes that need to be different, we're gonna make room for them to be able to. Yeah. And so, you know, the podcasting class, that School of Communication, right? If they need 90, or if they need to keep a 3-hour class period, then that would be an option.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Just for my own curiosity, is this something that like was us having 16-minute credit hours? Is this something that was like a recent addition, or is it something that was previously more standard that has sort of changed over time?
So I believe it was changed at Point Park. I think it went from a 50-minute contact period to a 60-minute contact period, something like 15, 16 years ago. And I've asked around, and no one can quite recall exactly why that change was made. Yeah. Yeah, in my previous university, there was a 124 credit graduation requirement that was about 30 years old, and when I asked around why, it's because they used to require PE. And then when they stopped requiring PE, they forgot to change the graduation requirement, and so I was like, well, that's dumb. Let's lop off those 4 hours, and so we did. And so if you know, we can't figure out a legitimate reason to keep the 60-minute contact period, contact requirement, then let's give ourselves permission to be more creative and flexible, right? Yes?
Who would then decide since you're saying like there would be opportunity for classes to go longer than be potentially like 3 hours, hour and a half, like decided on like what they need, how would that decision be made?
Yeah, that would typically be a decision that an academic dean would make.
Okay.
And you know, I'm going to want to make sure that I have a full understanding of why a dean thinks that would be necessary.
And then as well, like if this were to get changed, like how long would the implementation process take?
It would be pretty quick, right? If we were to do it, if we were to change the policy this academic year, we could implement it as early as fall of '25, provided that we were confident about the change going into the registration period for fall, which would have to happen by February of next year. Yes?
And then, since you said it would open up a whole new period and give way to more opportunities to become classes, would this also make it so certain classes that are only provided in the fall semester available in the spring? Or would they still only be provided in the fall?
No, it would apply to both fall and spring semester. Yeah.
No, what they're asking is that would this allow an opportunity for some fall classes that are only offered in the fall? Would they now be available in
I see,
spring
okay.
because we're opening up more class periods?
Possibly, yeah, yeah. You know, other stars have to line up, right? We have to make sure that there's an instructor available to teach the class, and that there are enough students who need the class to offer it. But if both of those are true, then yeah, of course, why not? Yes?
Forgive me if you answered this, but is this like also, would we be making sure like curriculums are still kind of in line with other universities like across the country in terms of like, let's say you're applying to grad school or transferring, you have enough credits in like specific areas and courses that you need to be able to, enough
So-
credit hours?
Yeah, so this would not affect anything having to do with the curriculum that receives regional accreditation. In other words, that Middle States, which authorizes Point Park to offer degrees in the programs that we offer, none of that would be affected at all. Where we want to be extra careful, though, is in those disciplines that have an additional accreditation, right? So, for example, if you have a degree in education, that is certified by the Pennsylvania Department of Education. If you have a degree in business, that has a business accreditation. The same is true for engineering, right? ABET offers an accreditation that leads to a licensed engineering degree, right? So in those specific cases, we're going to make absolutely sure that we are not in any way jeopardizing the value of the degree, right? And I'm only aware of one potential issue. We are exploring getting some of our School of Communication programs in journalism accredited. We want to make sure that when we come up for that, we're not jeopardizing anything. I don't think we are, but we will be absolutely sure that all of those are safe. Yes?
Would this affect the pay of our faculty, both those that are contracted and the adjuncts?
No.
Would it be cutting their hours down?
No, so they're paid by, they meet their teaching load requirement by credit hours.
Okay,
If they wouldn't, that wouldn't change at all.
okay.
Yeah,
Because of our credit hour changes, so
Yeah.
credits.
yeah.
Anything else? All right.
Well, thank you all for the time to come before you. If you're struck by any other questions or just brilliant ideas, shoot them my way, msoto@pointpark.edu, and we'll take all of that into consideration. And I hope we'll be able to share with you, once there's a concrete idea for what a class schedule might look like, we'll bring that back and let you provide feedback then as well.
Absolutely, thank you.
What is your email address?
MSOTO. All right, see you all.
Thank you so
See you.
much.
Thanks so much.
Oh, is this yours?
Oh, thank you. Yes.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, gang. Thanks so much. I learned so many new things, because when you sent that email, I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. All right, we're gonna keep trucking and go to our first open floor. Does anybody have anything for our first open floor? All right, and then we will move to reports of our executive cabinet. Since PPT Fornatero has to leave soon, I'm gonna jump to you first, Robert, and then we'll move back.
4:30.
Oh, I thought you were leaving soon. I thought you were leaving at 3:55.
I was wrong.
Okay.
I was wrong.
Hello, everybody. All right. Well, we did meet last week, and I don't know if you saw some stuff happen, but we are here, and I'm excited to see you all. Been hard at work. We had a meeting with the counseling center, which went very well. What we've basically come to the conclusion of is that the counseling center has been rated very highly because of their ability to provide care with the resources that they have. but that students' access to mental health is suffering because of both a lack of care providers, as well as a lack of a full-time administrator who would be able to keep the door open and address students' concerns as they walk-ins as they go through the process. Currently, there is an issue of potentially making this something that a student work study would cover, but then we come into a whole new set of issues where students that somebody might have a personal relationship with are being directly involved in their mental health care access. Me and Vice President Peterson have a meeting with Chris Brusalis tomorrow. This is one of the issues we'd like to bring up with him. We also, later this week, have a meeting with both student conduct and the Title IX office. We will be getting more information on their processes and asking a lot of questions on what they do and sort of where we can go from there moving forward. Obviously, this was already on our docket, but with the way the election is, I'm sure, affected a lot of our student body, and the way that what is becoming, I'm sure, will affect students' mental health, as well as any issues of sexual harassment or violence around campus. I think it is very important that we stay on top of this and have these conversations. What else have I done this? So much. Yes. Oh, right. As you all received the email for, right after this, we will be having our executive session. There are some issues of meeting decorum that I'd like to talk to you all about. Try not to be too scared, but we have not, unfortunately, and I take full responsibility for this, have not had the opportunity to senator train you all, and so I think it is important that we have a conversation about how to go through meetings very well. I've been very grateful for how involved you all have been so far. It's been a delight to see, and I think that I personally allowed that to let us ignore some of the basic, like here's what we do in our meetings conversations. So try not to be too scared, but those who, unless you already told me that you won't be able to make it, we will be having that meeting immediately after this. I also heard from a number of our senators, thank you for sending that email, by the way, from our senators, as well as from Recording Secretary Steiner, that the laboratory sciences departments are in need of more up-to-date lab equipment. That is something that I also would like to get in contact with people about. I've received some contacts on some of the deans.
Sorry, not to bombard, but just to kind of further go off of that, I just was having conversations with students, but certain students have changed their majors because of the type of equipment and labs is lacking.
That is definitely an important element of this. Yeah. This is something that has been on my radar that I want to sort of push ahead now that I'm hearing more people talking about this. But yeah, I think we should speak to them about, and at the school as well, about what we can do to make sure that their access to the materials people need for their majors and their places of study are available. We also have a meeting later this week to talk about the DC trip once again. We've been having good progress on that. I'm sure some of my other cabinet members will have things to report on that. I also have a meeting coming up along with Treasurer Geary and Vice President Peterson to speak to Dean Palo about the student activities fee. Once again, I will let my other cabinet members speak more to that in their individual reports. But considering that is another issue that has been brought up a number of times, I think it's very important that we get as much clarification as we can on that. I know that this meeting is going to probably run kind of long, and we have our next meeting right after, so I will let us move right along to our next person.
Alright, for my report, Kyle covered a lot of it, so I'll just kind of fill in a couple gaps. With the UCC, right now, as well as talking to Brusalis about it and talking to Cassie and trying to kind of understanding where the disconnect is. We are working with Cassie, the head of the UCC right now, to form a mental health survey that's a little bit more in depth than what we get out of the SSI, just so we can understand more of what students are enjoying, what they'd like more of, et cetera, et cetera. So that will be being crafted by Kyle and myself and Senator Sapolsky. and then being sent to Cassie for approval, and once we get the approval from the UCC on that, we'll have a campus announcement sent out with that survey, just so anybody can fill it out anytime. If you have ever used any of the campus mental health resources of any kind, please feel free to fill it out, or if you haven't and would like to share that you haven't learned about it or anything, please fill that out when you receive it, and I'll probably send an email out to you guys as well. Other than that, Cassie from the UCC will be at our LegBod meeting just to chat to us more on December 2nd, so just keep your eye out for that, and prepare yourself if you have anything that you'd like to bring to her during that. That's about it from me. Kyle kind of got everything else, so I'm going to move to Chief of Staff Rasinger.
You guys got a couple emails with me, from me. Some of them were about the senator training that's happening today. In the future, most of these will probably be coming from either PPT from Tara or Vice President Susan, but you might still see some from me. So if you get an email from me and you're not used to it, that's why. But other than that, no report.
All right, parliamentarian items.
Nothing dire, just we have a constitution to vote on in new business, but that's pretty much it.
All right, and DEI Chair Williams.
Nothing to report.
All right, reporting Secretary Steiner.
Just a little bit. I met with Catherine on Thursday for our one-on-one. We discussed some stuff, and then I have written down we'll talk with Treasurer Geary about the website, but just before this meeting, we talked a bit about it. We have it kind of figured out, so pretty much eliminates what I had to say. So that's it.
All right, Treasurer Geary.
As President McLaughlin mentioned, meeting with Dean Palo on Wednesday to talk about the beginning discussions of the student activity fee, kind of like, not like analysis, but you guys can get what I'm talking about. Disbursement. Just to make sure that we're looking into that question from the student satisfaction index or inventory. And then also going to be reaching out to the student orgs this week with the notification of using allocation funding, just because we're sitting at a little over 7,000 of unused allocations so far. We want to make sure that those are being used for the events they've been granted for.
All right, Comms Director Bradley.
We had our first comms committee meeting this past week. They're Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. and so if you ever want to join, there'll most likely be a Zoom link, so I'll send that out. And then we were working on our schedule for posting for the rest of the semester and the next semester, so that is currently being worked on, and we have movement with UU in the podcast department, so we're working on that and trying to just be more progressive and work more with content as we go on. That's it.
All right, graphic design coordinator Pugh.
So I have been updating our horrendously unsymmetrical logo. Don't look at it too hard. Here's, I don't know if it's easy to see. This is the updated version. I just went through and made things symmetrical and gestalted some things. I'm gonna add the text later. I don't want to do it right now. Ideally, I will do the same thing with the color version, but that's a different demon to fight. Outside of that, again, like Megan mentioned earlier, we're getting the website slowly up and running. We're looking into using, what was it, Ionos, which it says it's pretty good and it's cheap, so win-win. We had the comm meeting, that was fun. I think that's about it.
DC graphic.
I was just about, how do you guess? Oh my god. I'm having a meeting with Dylan today to make the DC graphics, so if you want to come to DC so bad.
All right, and President Pro Tempore Fornatero.
I talked with Catherine today. We had our one-on-one meeting, just further explained what my position was, and then she was in the position I was last year. She was in the position I was last year, and so we discussed some of the initiatives that she had started, that I could just further like start up again or just follow up on for this year and then next semester. Not to call people out, but I have 2 responses for the office hours forms, meaning not everyone has turned it in. That is something that you need to do, and it is something that I am tracking. I don't want to be rude, but please just try to turn it in. It's a very simple form. I literally say you can just say 1 sentence of what you did this week. I just want to know that you were here this week. But yeah, no, I'm never gonna say target people specifically, so don't worry about that. But just please try to get those office hours in. Yeah, that pretty much does it for my report.
Alright, and with that, we will move to reports of standing committees, rules committee.
Well, we finally met, yay. It was me, Sienna, Christian, a fun time, putting together the constitution that we're gonna vote on. Saturdays at 3, I know that's a really unfortunate time, but it's the only time that works. But that's when rules committee meets, so if anyone just wants to hop on by and come work with us, I'd be happy to welcome you. That's it.
Alright, finance committee.
Nothing to report.
Alright, communication committee.
Just the same thing for my report, nothing
Alright.
much more.
Student inno.
So we met this Friday. Main initiative was the zine fair. To be more specific, I emailed people, some of you who probably are in this room got my email. I was just talking more specific details on if you were interested in the zine fair, what it's looking like, when it's gonna be, like stuff like that, and then how we are gonna have it set up. Logistical errors that me and Catherine have ran into is timing. I know we want to have it this semester, but our biggest fear is since it'll be December and we plan on having it outside, 1, low engagement, and then 2, just with the conditions that Pittsburgh has. My fear is also with the trucks that we're bringing in, they might just cancel because we can't guarantee that we won't have snow that day, and it's just a hazard. I want this event to be big. I want it to have a lot of engagement. So we were thinking of having it in the spring semester. I know that's not something that we wanted, and I'm still trying to figure out how we can have it this semester, and that'll be another thing that I can talk at our meeting on Friday. Just if we want to have outside vendors and outside trucks, it would make more sense for it to have nice weather with that outside stuff, especially if we want to get people to come to this event. There are further initiatives that I thought of. I do want to have events in December, or not events plural, but at least have an event in December and have events before that. And so I've just been brainstorming some small little things that I'm gonna bring up on Friday at the meeting again. But yeah, no, just little logistical things that we've come out, and I just want this event to be as big and the best that it can be. And yeah.
I will say specifically, I know a couple of the truck vendors that we were talking about do like tabling things as well, so if we did need to move inside,
Yeah.
there is potential for that. Obviously, we can chat about that, and maybe global warming will have our back.
Don't manifest that. Take that back.
Is there anything else?
No.
Alright, awesome. DEI chairwoman, or I guess DEI committee.
DEI committee, mainly, like, we're still trying to get senators for the when to meet form so we can like solidify a time, but so far DEI vice chair Bradenton and I have been meeting fairly regularly, and this past Friday, I would say, we discussed kind of like where we are right now and what our goals are moving forward. That's like all the report for now.
Alright, and with that, we will move to reports of senators. Do any of our senators have anything to report? Alright, if none of our senators have anything to report, we will move forward to old business, but there is no old business, so we'll move forward to new business. And we have a constitution, the Cozy Corner Constitution. I will pull it up and yield the floor to Parliamentarian Adams.
Yes, so this is the group that Christian and I met with on Saturday. Essentially, their main goal is to provide a space for students to relax, unwind, forget about school, forget place for students to unwind if you need so. That's pretty much the goal.
All right, and with that, do we have a motion to approve the Constitution of the Cozy Corner? Senator Balfe, do we have a second? PPT Fornatero. Do we have any discussion before we bring this to a vote? Yeah,
Where are they keeping this? They have a place to put this?
They don't know.
They don't know yet?
It would be at the location that they decide upon, like
Okay.
their officers.
Okay. But that's like step one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and every year or throughout the year, they would have locations of where they would.
Do they have someone working with them to like make this like a more permanent fixture rather than something that has to be moved around a lot?
I mean, that's not something that they're too concerned about, just they're more focused on the actual,
Getting it started?
yeah, getting it started and having something still established up front.
Is there any other discussion for Cozy Corner Constitution? All right, if there's no more discussion, then we will bring it to a vote. All those who approve? All right. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, with that, the Cozy Corner Constitution passes with a 9-0 vote. All right, and with this, we will head back to our presentation and move to our second open floor. Does anybody have anything for our second open floor?
I don't know, Skill Pierce starting up on Wednesday. You should go see that. That's a good show. That's it.
Anything else for second open floor? All right, with that, we will move to announcements. Obviously, as Kyle mentioned, and you got an email about, we will be holding an executive session immediately following today's LegBud meeting upstairs in the SGA office, 717. This executive session will be closed off from anybody that is not a current member of SGA. Otherwise, we will move if anybody else has any announcements.
I've noticed at the end of meetings, we have not been moving our tables back. If everyone moves their table back, it will take 2 seconds, please and thank you.
All right, any other announcements before we move forward? All right, with that, our next legislative body meeting will be November 18th, here in the full room at 3:15. Please head up to the office and we will see you up there. And with that, I adjourn this meeting at 3:59.